You've been taught to chase money your entire life. Hustle harder, work longer, grind more. Get up at 5 a.m., sacrifice your weekends, and push through exhaustion because that's what successful people do, right? Here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to admit. People who chase money rarely catch it. They're always one step behind, always struggling, always feeling like they're not doing enough. Meanwhile, there's a small group of people who operate from a completely different paradigm. They've cracked the code on making money flow toward them instead of away from them. They don't chase opportunities. Opportunities chase them. They don't beg for clients. Clients seek them out. They don't scramble for deals. Deals come to them naturally. The difference isn't talent, luck, or connections. It's three core shifts in how they think about wealth that flip the entire script from chasing to attracting. And once you understand these shifts, you'll never look at money the same way again. Most people operate from what I call identity homeostasis around money. They believe deep down that they must earn every single dollar through pure effort and struggle. This programming runs so deep that even when they start making more money, they can't shake the feeling that they don't deserve it, or that it won't last. The neural pathways of work hard for money create a perpetual state of lack and desperation. Your brain literally rewires itself to expect struggle as the price of financial success. Every decision you make comes from this place of not having enough, not being enough, not doing enough. And here's what's fascinating. This energy is exactly what repels money. When you're chasing money, you're broadcasting scarcity signals that push away the very opportunities and partnerships that could transform your financial reality. Think about it. When someone approaches you from a desperate place, what's your instinct? You pull back. You sense their neediness, and it makes you uncomfortable. Money operates the same way. The wealthy understand something that most people never figure out. Money follows systems, relationships, and leverage, not just hard work. They've learned that money is energy, and like all energy, it flows toward value, not effort. You can work 18 hours a day, but if you're not creating genuine value that people actually want, you're just spinning your wheels. This is where strategic disappearance becomes crucial. You need to disappear from the chase mentality to create space for attraction-based thinking. But this isn't about becoming passive or lazy. It's about shifting from desperate action to strategic action. Your current money identity was likely built on outdated programming from childhood and society. Maybe your parents struggled financially and taught you that money was scarce and hard to come by. Maybe you grew up hearing phrases like money doesn't grow on trees, or we can't afford that so often. That scarcity became your default setting. The education system reinforced this by teaching you to trade time for grades, then time for money. Get a job, work your way up, save for retirement. It's a linear, effort-based model that keeps you trapped in the chase. But real transformation happens when you recognize that this entire framework is built on a lie. The lie is that your financial worth is determined by how hard you work or how many hours you put in. The truth is that your financial worth is determined by how much value you create and how efficiently you can scale that value. When you finally understand this distinction, everything changes. You stop measuring your worth by your effort and start measuring it by your impact. Wealthy people think like money is already flowing to them. They wake up expecting opportunities, expecting deals, expecting abundance. This isn't positive thinking or manifestation nonsense. It's a fundamental shift in how they process information and make decisions. They operate from abundance, not scarcity. And this changes everything about how they show up in the world. The shift from I needed money to money needs me is the most powerful transformation you can make. When you need money, you make desperate decisions. You take bad deals. You undervalue yourself. You chase every shiny opportunity that comes your way. But when you operate from the belief that money needs you, that your value is so clear and so necessary, that wealth naturally flows toward you. Your entire decision-making process transforms. Creating value becomes effortless when you're not desperate for the outcome. You stop trying to convince people to buy from you and start focusing on solving problems so well that people seek you out. You stop networking to get something and start building relationships because you genuinely want to help. This shift in energy is magnetic. Here's the paradox that most people can't wrap their heads around. The less you need money, the more it shows up in your life. This doesn't mean you don't want money or that you're not working toward financial goals. It means you're not operating from a place of lack and desperation. You're confident in your ability to create value, so you can be patient and strategic instead of reactive and desperate. Building systems that work without you is the foundation of magnetic wealth. Instead of trading your time for money, you create assets that generate income whether you're working or not. This might be a business that runs itself, investments that compound, or intellectual property that pays royalties. The key is that your income isn't directly tied to your effort in every moment. Your energy and decision-making completely transform when you're not chasing. You become more selective about opportunities. You say no more often. You charge what you're worth instead of what you think people will pay. You invest in long-term relationships instead of short-term transactions. This identity reset requires strategic disappearance from old patterns and beliefs about earning. You need to disappear from the mentality that equates struggle with worthiness. You need to stop believing that if it's not hard, it's not valuable. You need to release the guilt that comes with making money easily or enjoying the process of building wealth. The first pillar is value creation that solves real problems at scale, not just trading time for money. Most people think about making money in terms of hours worked or tasks completed. But wealthy people think about impact and scale. They ask themselves, how can I solve this problem for 1,000 people instead of one? How can I create something once that benefits people repeatedly? This isn't about being greedy or exploitative. It's about efficiency and leverage. When you solve a problem for one person, you help one person. When you create a system or product that solves that same problem for thousands of people, you help thousands while building sustainable wealth. The second pillar is relationship capital that opens doors you never knew existed. This isn't networking in the traditional sense of collecting business cards and making small talk. It's about building genuine relationships with people who share your values and vision. It's about becoming the kind of person that others want to collaborate with, invest in, or refer business to. Relationship capital compounds over time. Every person you help, every connection you make authentically, every bridge you build instead of burning, creates opportunities that you can't even imagine yet. The wealthy understand that business is ultimately about relationships, and they invest in those relationships long before they need anything in return. The third pillar is systems thinking that creates multiple streams without constant effort. Instead of having one job or one business that requires your constant attention, you build multiple systems that generate income independently. This might include passive investments, automated businesses, licensing deals, or recurring revenue models. The wealthy focus on building assets that appreciate while they sleep. They buy real estate that generates rental income and appreciates in value. They create intellectual property that pays royalties. They invest in businesses that grow without their daily involvement. They understand the difference between working in the business and working on the business. The transition from being in the business to working on the business is crucial. When you're in the business, you're the bottleneck. Everything depends on you, and your income is limited by your time and energy. When you work on the business, you're building systems and processes that can scale beyond your personal capacity. When these three pillars align, money begins flowing toward you rather than away from you. You're creating real value that people want to pay for. You have relationships that bring you opportunities, and you have systems that multiply your efforts. This is when the shift from chasing to attracting becomes real and sustainable. The shift from chasing to attracting wealth is an identity transformation, not just a strategy change. It requires you to fundamentally rewire how you think about money, value, and your place in the economic ecosystem. This isn't something that happens overnight. But once you start making this shift, the results compound quickly. Start by examining your current relationship with money and the energy you bring to financial decisions. Are you operating from scarcity or abundance? Are you chasing or attracting? The answer will be obvious once you start paying attention.